I'm Clayton Henry, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics. And I draw great stuff.
I like that.
Okay.
Is it a portent of doom that the minute you did that, the cat shit?
I heard. Yeah. I don't know if I heard little foot taps.
No, she's covering her shit. Like
scratching. Okay, I love it. Yeah, that's a sign.
Is that a commentary?
I mean, it's just us. So maybe
Yeah, as soon as it came out, there we go. Got to cover my poop. so
I mean, you're the one who's got to sit with it. So
that's okay. No, she's good covering it. She's good. Yeah. Little baby. Hey, hey everybody! It's 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 958, and I'm Vince B.
You are Vince B, and I am just the other voice tonight, David A. Price.
Yes. Jason is being infuriating as usual, and has some kind of commitments, so he's not here this week. So
I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I don't know. We might have to not be able to.
It's been excuse after excuse after excuse.
It's been a long fucking week, bro.
Yeah. Send all resumes to admin@11o'clockcomics.com. Don't think, Tony and Tana have it clinched. If you're somebody, something, then we'll consider you. So, yes. But Jason's not here this week. What is here this week is the massive savings that you will reap at cheapgraphicnovels.com. We've been telling you this for a good amount of time, and I hope it's sinking in. Cheapgraphicnovels.com has everything you want with a spine. The OGNs, the omnibus editions, manga, trade paperback collections, art books, all that stuff at a fraction of that retail price printed on the back or wherever it's printed. It's crazy. And if you're a first-time customer, you've heard this too, but write it down just to remind yourself. First-time customers reply to the email confirmation for your order and tell Max 11 O'Clock Comics sent me. My buddies over at 11 O'Clock Comics clued me in to the massive savings here at cheapgraphicnovels.com. And I want to thank them and you. And Max will bounce another email back to you and say, my good man or woman or person, you are going to get free shipping on your next order. And then you go hog wild and buy all the stuffs. Currently at cheapgraphicnovels.com, there is a Black Friday sale. And it's pretty massive. There's a lot of stuff in there. And I was like, do I need this? I don't know. Because the thing is, the Legion of Five Worlds reprint omnibus is solicited this month. I need that, so I don't want to go hog wild and get too much, but that's a definite for me. The Legion of Five Worlds omnibus, the reprint. Because I was stupid, and I'm like, I have all the issues. What do I need this for? The only problem with having all the issues is those issues are spread across maybe 15 long boxes. So finding all the issues would be a pain in the Kazatsky. So I need that omnibus edition just to read it again, right?
And
I don't have good order keeping as far as my books go.
Yeah, I tomorrow I'm going to put my order together. But when I was for November, I haven't even gotten December's previews yet, so I don't know what's coming. But
there's far more in December than there was in November.
Yeah, far just flipping through. I mean, there's nothing. Excuse me. There's nothing from Fanta in November. There's not a whole lot.
November's kind of weak. Yeah, so weak.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm fine if it's a very, because I'm cutting back. I'm kind of just sticking to the collections, minus a couple of singles like the Superman stuff. But I mean, there's nothing. I'm basically just kind of keeping space for things that I feel I need, and whether that's because I mean, looking at some of the Black Friday sales, you can get both. It's almost like it's buy one get one. You can get both volumes of 100 Bullets, of the 100 Bullets Omnibus volumes 1 and volumes 2, half off on both. The Black Friday deal looks amazing, so I'm definitely going to spend some time going through it. But there's over 1,000 items It's amazing. The Black Friday sale has 1,143 items, but that's not what I want to point out as far as this week's new releases. The Slackers got a sneak peek, and I threw a bunch of notables at them. But also, I'd like to bring to your attention the final volume, Last Man Volume 6. This collects the 11th and 12th chapters of the French fight comic. Damned Deluxe Omnibus Edition hardcover. 25% off, comes in at $29.99. I'm sorry, The Last Man is 30% off at $17.49. This Damned collects the Damned 3 Days Dead miniseries, 0 through 5. The Damned main series, numbers 1 through 10, and the 3 days earlier prelude story by Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt. And speaking of Cullen Bunn, also available is the Harrow County complete hardcover. This collects Harrow County numbers 1 through 32. Art by Tyler Crook. This is 30% off. Comes in at $104.99. But the big thing that I should be receiving any day now, because it shipped Monday, and it is the perfect addition to anyone who has the 4-volume Byrne Superman Man of Steel omnibus leading into the Triangle Era omnibus that is Superman, the Exile, and Other Stories omnibus. It's the 2024 edition hardcover, 40% off, $74.99. It collects the Adventures of Superman numbers 445 through 459, Superman numbers 23 through 27, Action Comics numbers 643 through 646, and Action Comics Annual number 2. Again, remember, this is pre-Superman Man of Steel ongoing by Simonson, Bogdanove, and Jank, which eventually you begin to see in that first Triangle omnibus. But that's that Superman book. I'm so looking forward to many of those issues. I've read most of them at least once. Some of them probably not at all, but I can't wait to revisit this chunk.
I'm surprised you don't have that. I have that.
Yeah, no, I missed out on it
you
the first time around. I wasn't probably because it was. I viewed it as an odd collection at the time because we didn't get the Byrne stuff leading up to it.
Right.
We had those like paperbacks that were like, I don't know how many, 6 or 8 of them, but yeah, I didn't want to bother with
the library's shaping up. It's really shaping up, which is good. Hey, who doesn't want to read Superman and Ralph Cramden in space? You're not my friend if you don't want to read that. I'm sorry.
It's true.
Yes. Cramden. Yes. I'm drinking. But that's good. CheapGraphicNovels.com. Just go get all the stuff there. Adapting, you didn't see the previews for December, but there's one thing in there that I think is you're going to flip your lid because we've been asking for it for a long, long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel 2-in-1 Omnibus Volume 1.
Wow.
Yes, it's about damn time. It's been like forever. Like, I don't understand why there hasn't been a 2-in-1 omnibus until now. But, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. We're getting it, and they're rectifying mistakes, which is good. So, a lot of Gerber. Whole lot of Gerber in there.
How many? It's the first half of the series? First half of the run?
No. It's only 800 and some pages. So, I'm guessing, do the math.
Probably 3 like they did with Rom and Micronauts.
Yeah. I think the pendulum has swung. Well, now DC's doing these big honking omnibuses, massive 1,500 page things, and Marvel's sticking to, 8, 1,000 around there. The ROM omnibuses were relatively slim. Same thing with Godzilla and even the Defenders omnibuses are really. They're half the size of other ones. But, the prices are not half the price. But whatever. That's the way things work, I guess. Be grateful for the books. It could be worse. You could not get them at all. So, right? I'm drinking. I'm drinking this damn, what's it? Kentucky Fire, Jim Beam. I was going to go get beer, but it started to snow on the way home. So I'm like, whatever. I'll drink that.
Oh my God! I think I don't. Yeah, we had some rain, but nothing. Yeah, we still haven't really had any snow.
It was in the low 30s. And
Yeah,
it's getting colder tonight.
Yeah, we're in the mid 30s right now. That's weather talk.
Exhilarating, yeah.
am sipping on some Michter's straight rye with a splash of seltzer.
Nice. All right. We are going to have a fairly robust DC Orama tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I've read the Justice League Unlimited.
So did I.
Yeah. Mark Waid, Dan Mora, Tamara Bonvillain. I have questions. I'm wondering.
Okay.
I'm wondering if Mr. Wade has thought this through. Like I have a lot of confidence in Mark Waid as a writer, as a thinker, a creator, all that stuff. But there are aspects of a universal Justice League that I think you need to do the math. If every hero is in the Justice League.
Yeah.
Batman, we need you. Caliban's throwing a fit. Okay, give me a second. I'm fighting Killer Moth. Oh, we'll be right there. Bonk. They squash Killer Moth to go to do Caliban. Hey, Diana, we need help. Doomsday's going through the city. Wait a minute, I'm fighting Cheetah. Okay, we'll be right there. They take out Cheetah to go. Like, are the ongoings for the individual heroes going to be 4 pages long? Because in theory, no, think about it. In theory, what villain, like if you are a member of the Justice League, everyone is, and you're fighting a villain that is causing property damage, threatening human lives, like wouldn't you want to end that fight as quickly as possible? So one would assume that it's like, I need help here. Let's just minimize the fallout from this and help me take this villain out. Like, so every ongoing is going to be truncated? It doesn't make sense. And if they don't call in the Justice League, then they're not doing their job as a member of the Justice League. It just doesn't, there are too many complications to this. And I was thinking of this too. Hey, Arthur, give us a hand here. We got a planet-threatening thing. Oh, man, I just took out Black Manta like 10 minutes ago. I'm so tired. I can't. I'm exhausted. Like, do you have to respond to the threat? You know what I mean? Does every hero, now that they're all, like, what if you don't want to be in the Justice League? Can you opt out?
I'm sure you can.
But then you're the asshole, though. Like, if you don't
necessarily, or you're the
kinda.
I mean, yes, you could be viewed that way by some, I'm sure. I look at it as being a responsible gun owner. You're not going to call in Firestorm and Star Sapphire and Wonder Woman and Black Lightning to take down a couple of Penguin's rogues.
No. But on the flip side, if you throw caution to the wind and think, well, all right, it's just Toyman, whatever, I'll take him out on my own. Like, then you run the risk of something, accelerating, something you could possibly have some kind of, you're not going to have any fallout at all if Superman's there, right? You'll take this guy out, lickety split, and you go about your business. So it just begs the question, pride, hubris, the opportunities to squash supervillains are now universal. So if everyone doesn't get involved, not everyone, I mean, it's a pretty big number, but if you don't have a posse when you're taking out your rogues, why don't you have a posse? Because you have the ultimate nullifier in your back pocket. You have Superman in your back pocket at all times. So if the Flash is having trouble with Weather Wizard, Cal, come on, give me a hand here. Let's take this guy out. Like, so everybody has the combined might of the Justice League behind them. All heroes have every hero in their back pocket.
Yes, but
That's crazy.
you have access, but that doesn't mean they're always available.
But that's
So
that's a comic book. We've seen that, right? Oh, Wanda couldn't be here. She's in the Savage Land with Namor and Kazar. Like that happens. I understand that, but we're not just talking Wanda and teens of heroes. We're talking hundreds of heroes in the DC universe. Like it's right in the name. The Justice League is now unlimited.
yes.
You would think it would be a blanket. All supervillains. If I was a supervillain at this point, I'd be just like, fuck it. It was a nice. It was a nice run.
That's the ideal world. I'm pretty sure that's what they're aiming for. But I think I know exactly. I 100% get it because back in the day, there was Brave and the Bold, but even beyond that, after that, you had Batman and the Outsiders, you had Detective, and you had Batman. How many hours are in a day where this one figure is in three separate books? Same thing with Superman, and then you had Wolverine because he was in the first story of every Marvel Comics Presents, and
Right.
of course, he's a loner and he's on the X-Men, and then eventually X-Force and a fucking Avenger, and
It's like that to the nth power now.
I know.
Because
And
it's everybody.
I'm excited because I'm going to see a bunch of characters that I haven't seen in years, but I've never seen work together. Whether it's beautifully drawn by Mora or not,
Yeah.
I trust Wade that he knows these characters, and he knows how to work team books. But he absolutely has his favorites, and we know he wrote Wally for a good long time, so I'm sure we'll probably get some spotlights with Wally in this. He's been writing Batman and Superman and World's Finest. He's no stranger to either character. I'm excited for the idea. Will it feel a little bit? Is something probably going to happen in a year or so that makes it silly to have all these heroes hiding out in one space station over the
I think
Earth?
it's kind of cool though that if you had
I love it.
if you had a boom tube that could
Absolutely.
hey, why don't we have access to that? That's smart to just have the JSA and the Titans and everybody have access. Like that's actually that is revolutionary. I think that it's like open door policy for all the teams. Well, all the teams are Justice League now, so it's not. It's like you are JSA, the Justice Society of America, but now you're kind of Justice League of America, so you might as well just stop calling yourself Justice Society. But it's a double-edged sword, right? You can imagine that like Ambush Bug and Plastic Man are like, yes! Well, Plastic Man has been in the league before. Like Ambush Bug, oh, amazing, I'm in the Justice League. And then Superman be like, oh god, everybody's in the Justice League now. We gotta babysit these fuckers?
Yes.
Ambush Bug, really? And I'm sure you can write it where Ambush Bug saves the day. And it's like, oh, everybody should be included. That's great. But you have to imagine they're just like, oh, like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. It's like, oh, it's babysitting time. Yeah, we got to hold some hands here. And again, creatively, though, one would think that if everybody was in the Justice League, the threats have to increase exponentially. Because like I said, the whole Justice League is not going to go after the Penguin. It's a waste of resources. It just doesn't make sense. But 6 could go after the Penguin. So in order for we, the readers, to pull some kind of, there needs to be danger. There needs to be questions and contingencies. And for us to sit on the other side of the panels and actually believe that something could go awry when the entire Justice League is involved, the threats need to be off the scale. It can't just be average. It has to be world-shattering, monumental, big bada boom threats. And that gets old after a while. That's what happened with Morrison's Justice League. All of the threats were like off the scale. And after a while, it's like, well, the whole of eternity cannot be threatened every issue. It just can't, because then that becomes boring. I don't know. But it looks great. That's ridiculously, but yeah,
and
to say a Dan Mora book looks great. Okay. It's a little, I thought this came out on the heels. I don't know how they came out, but this and Superman 20 came out very close together. And you could see that a lot of the creative energy was put into this, and maybe not so much Superman. Like I thought the work on Superman was a little thin.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. We'll get there.
No.
We'll get there. But I thought this issue was fun, and the wave thing was a little bit predictable.
I would have preferred the issue to end 2 pages sooner, with Batman saying we need some heavy hitters.
Yeah, that's a great page, by the way. A little bit.
Oh, it is.
A little bit H.R. Giger inspired, but yes, it's a great page. Those look like the face hugger eggs.
They absolutely do.
Yeah, with ornaments on them.
But yeah, I mean, I remember reading old issues of it may have been DC Comics Presents, but there were little 5-6 page backup stories, and often you would see Airwave as the star on his little roller skates across the telephone lines, and so I have a soft spot. He's Hal's. It depends on who's writing it. It could be Hal's nephew. It could be Hal's cousin. It's but there's that connection, which also made me fond of the character. But I don't know how I feel about reintroducing a character that's older than a hell of a lot of readers, and at least publication-wise, and you throw him in this story, and then you have this big reveal at the end of the issue. I'm like, I don't necessarily know if that's the cliffhanger that you needed to have. That's not what's going to bring them back for issue number 2.
Yeah, I would guess that the majority of people reading this book don't even know who Airwave is, and that's okay, because
absolutely
the writing's on the wall. He's a hero who's brought into the Justice League. He has a hard time, and he's there to take them all out. Like, okay, I get it.
I appreciate the whole, this is the character that's basically going to be the reader's eyes as far as the lay of the land with the Watchtower, and he's excited to he wants to prove his worth and mix it up. And Tornado, this is what I like about this first issue. What I like about the concept of Justice League Unlimited, or even the Watchtower, is that I'm curious to know, like, it's a Justice League issue, it's a Justice League book, but I don't know how in continuity it is. Like, if it's, because obviously what's happening with what's going on in the Superman main title is all happening over the course of however many hours, however long this particular story is. But Superman is also in Justice League Unlimited, so they're not happening at the same time, obviously. But I don't know if Wade is going to need Nightwing or Wonder Woman, and Tom's like, I've got something big going on with Diana, so you're going to have to find, you're going to have to get Shroya, so I don't know if Wade has priority over some of the characters, or if he has to actually wait on whoever the creative team is for that character's ongoing. But
in creative terms, he's swinging the biggest bat in the DC universe, because
he is
now every DC title is a Justice League book.
Pretty much
every book. Yeah,
it's a hell of a crossover.
It's good to be Mark Waid, but I mean, yeah, I kind of understand and that's why Byrne got pissed off a lot of times, because he was doing stuff and then they're just like, well, you can't do that because we're doing this. And he's like, okay, see ya.
Right.
Have a good time.
Right. I mean, Action Comics was the team up book, and if he couldn't use Barda or Green Lantern or the Legion, not that they were doing anything, but so yeah, you always have to worry about who else is using characters. Red Tornado being the eyes and ears and the security while he has no body currently. That's great. Another reason why I think the Trinity either feel like they're meant to be mentors, or maybe they feel they have. Well, I believe that they feel they have a responsibility to the younger generation, but with everything that went wrong with Powers at the conclusion of Absolute Power, this is probably just a way. Another idea behind the whole Watchtower is that if everybody's here, then because as it was pointed out during the tour, and we get to the Atom Project, if they're at least everybody here that was affected or participated in taking Waller down, at least trying to fix everybody's powers, it makes sense to have it all in one place instead of scattered across Star Labs across the country. At least everybody's here. They can be, it's all one-stop shopping. And then, after Ray Palmer checks you out, then you can go down to the promenade and hang out.
It's so confusing. It is just so confusing. It's just, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this. I think there's a lot of things to consider. It's going to be neat to see how it plays out. I'm guessing that it's all going to come crumbling down eventually, because this kind of strength can't be maintained for very long. It's just jumping into the fiction. Characters have lives, they have families, they can't just drop everything at Superman's behest. And they may want to, but there's sometimes they just can't. It's my kid's birthday, I can't come. Like, whatever, go have and I really think I laughed out loud when the panel with Diana, the profile with the JL earring. I really doubt Diana would wear a Justice League earring. A branded Justice League earring.
No, I'm pretty sure that I know it. Yeah, it does. It's obviously an earring because it's in her ear.
Or maybe it could be it's
a comm badge.
Yeah, okay, it's a comm badge. Well, why don't does everybody have an earring now? Does Superman
if they don't have an earring, they might have an earbud. She probably doesn't like me. She probably doesn't want anything in her ears.
Oh God,
she gets the allergic reaction to the silicone like that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You've got there's that was a great panel. I actually didn't notice the earring at the time when I saw that page.
Oh, and
I was too focused on Bart in this Kid Flash. Go ahead.
One thing before you move on, Star Sapphire, most useless healing power ever.
Oh God.
Oh, I can't heal you because somebody
find his wife. Find
somebody that loves him. What?
So dumb.
She's half a world away. Well, go get her. No, that's weird. That's not how EMTs work. That's not how any of this works.
Flash could have ran to her, clipped his boom tube card to her, showed her up right next to the husband, and things would have happened a little quicker.
Now you're thinking.
I know that it's exciting to see so many of people's favorite heroes all hanging out together.
It's crazy.
But I think I could ask everybody who's enjoyed Justice League comics prior to Morrison, or even since Morrison, but anybody who's ever enjoyed Justice, and I'm not talking about the Justice League Unlimited cartoon because it's pretty much the same premise of this, but a lot of my favorite Justice League stories pretty much just revolve around the core seven, or at least a smaller group. Even the Bwahaha era, it wasn't sprawling. You brought in Justice League International, which eventually sprung off to Justice League Europe. So we still had. But yeah, I love the idea of it. But eventually, after months, maybe a couple of years, but eventually people are just going to be like, I really would like to just see a nice, strong, small Justice League group. Yeah.
Well, now the annual JLA JSA is every day. That's every day now. Oh, it's
level 3.
It's the daily team up of the Justice League and the Justice Society of America. It's amazing. Oh, it's Thursday. That's another team up.
That's another team.
I'm not poo-pooing it. I think it's a really neat idea, and I think creatively, there are questions. Like he's built a concept into the Justice League now that may fail. It may work because, again, everybody is a Justice League member, but I think the opportunities for failure are pretty great because, and like Entropy, they cannot maintain everybody in the Justice League at once. It's untenable.
Yep.
But and again, you have to. What is God going to attack the DC universe? Because now we have everybody fighting for the Justice League. I think it would be a pretty 50-50 chance, right? I don't know. But I'm very curious as to see what happens. So
and the tease of the big bad Inferno was very reminiscent of Hive from those early Wolfman Perez New Teen Titan issues.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing.
No.
I'm they're Inferno and they're not scared of the Justice League and he's got but that's the thing. It took how many of them to take out a couple of War Wheels. So I mean, the threats do seem to want to grow as often as much as the membership of this league is growing. So they'll probably have to they'll take some L's, I'm sure, but it'll be it has to, like you said, it'll have to be ramped up to the nth degree.
Yeah, but I think just looking at the Marvel universe, the Fantastic Four up against Galactus, like that's a threat.
Yeah,
shit's gonna go down. Nobody knows how this is gonna come out. Oh, Reed tricked him. Oh, that's cool, right? But couldn't do it again. So then the stakes were higher. And then you didn't have even the Avengers versus Eternity. Like that's insane. As many Avengers as they had on the team at that time, they didn't have the entire might of the Marvel universe against them, against Eternity. And they managed to pull it out. Like when the threats are high and the opposing forces, or the forces of good are not low, but at least reasonable. That's a battle that, the outcome is still in question. But when the entire DC universe is going after, Ra's al Ghul, like, I think I know how this is going to come out. It's not going to end well for Raj or Raish, whatever the hell his name is. What did you think of the Hush preview? Hush 2.
Hush 2. Yeah, at first I thought we were getting a reprint, or they were just.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, I mean it was, but then I see Red Hood, and I'm like, oh no, he wasn't. I'm pretty sure he wasn't around back then. And then I obviously I kept reading it, and then I see the 2 and the U, but I as one of the poor souls that actually did enjoy the first Hush because of kind of how the Riddler was portrayed mostly. I don't know. I've read a couple of stories here and there over the years where Hush kind of returns or does something. It was never as good as the first storyline with the character. I will check out the first issue, the first chapter in Batman 158. It'll be nice to see Jim Lee drawing more than a cover, and hopefully this will read better than this Last Halloween sequel that Loeb is writing with a plethora of different artists every issue. Because
nice tangent.
Yes, I'm going to check it out. I wasn't. I didn't read the preview going like, oh crap, they're going back to this again. There is something about, because it's been years since I saw Jim Lee drawing sequentials. There's something about seeing Lee on the page again. Yeah, like I said, I'll check out the first issue for sure.
Yeah. I don't think it's a secret. I'm not a very big fan of the original Hush.
Right.
it's too pretty. I mean, that's my critique of,
that's a Jim Lee flaw.
Jim Lee. Yeah, it's just too pretty. And people be like, "What? Too pretty? Did you say a woman is too pretty?" Yeah, well, yeah.
Yes,
It's
pretty.
It's too polished. It's too glossy. I mean, Jim has his.
I'm sorry. There's 1, 2. It's 4 pages because it's 2 single pages and a double page spread. There is more background.
Oh yeah.
In these 4 pages than there is in all of West Coast.
I mean, the guy put yes, it's true. Yeah, in West Coast Avengers #1, they're either fighting on a planet that's completely flat with like smoke behind them, or maybe they're not on Earth. No, I don't want to criticize Jim Lee. He has his fans, and he's a very competent illustrator. His style just doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
But I don't like the Riddler at all. Like, I didn't think
I know.
When the reveal was up, we came out. I'm like, I waited how long for this?
I know. But he's. Joker's his opposite, and I also think Joker is played, and Penguin's just grotesque. But I've always been an Enigma fan. I mean, whether it's because of Frank Gorshin on the fucking TV show.
Now, I do like him in the Batman show. Yeah, I did like him there.
But I mean, seeing Don Newton draw him in the green with like the green units, I'm a sucker for puns, so it's stupid shit.
That's fine. You don't have to explain your love.
No, I know, but it is. I mean, when you look at the rest of his rogues, like it's like not Killer Croc, like not Ivy, like I don't know what to tell you. I'm simple,
but that's one of the things that Loeb. One of the turnoffs for Loeb is he has to use everybody.
He does.
Like, this is a long Halloween, man. We're going to throw everybody into this book. And the same thing with Hush. Like, at the time, everybody appeared in Hush. It's like, it just got me. You don't need to see everyone in a Batman narrative. Maybe he's stacking the deck in his favor. I don't know. Again, I'm the least qualified to comment on a Batman book. But anyway,
I am a bit bummed that Hush is playing around with these paper cutout instead of like Hero Clicks or something. Like he couldn't get some decent.
Nobody wants Hero Clicks. That's trash. Why don't you play Mage Knight? Just go right back to the beginning. Is that a troll? It looks like a melted candle. What is that? And that's coming from someone who invested a ridiculous amount of money into these things. Whatever. Superman 20. You go.
Superman 20. First of all, I did not notice this on the cover of 19, but I did notice this on the cover of 20.
There's a triangle.
There's a fucking triangle, man.
Yes, there's a triangle.
I saw that. I mean, it's a legacy triangle. This is actually Superman. This volume, Superman number 20, but it's actually issue 863. We got a triangle again. It's
nice.
Not the shield. It's just a triangle.
But it's fine.
It's great. I love the placement of it.
It's
cool.
No, not the placement. It's too close to the box. If they moved it down a pica or two, maybe like your eye just
to kind of keep it floating separate.
I would, if it's special,
or maybe even move it over to the right, and put it under the end. Superman.
Okay, I wouldn't put it there either. But just down a little bit, to maybe differentiate, to separate it from that mechanic thing that's going on with the bullet and the all in and the age and the number. Just knock it down a little bit so we can see some air between it. Be like, because I didn't see it initially when I opened it. And when I was saving images for the episode, I'm like, hot damn, there's a diamond, there's a triangle on the cover. So we don't miss much. So I think it just blends in a little bit. It just blends too much. Get down, baby. What'd you think?
You get a 2-page spread where the time trapper is breaking down a few things about Superman's future, and we get like an Armageddon 2001 type future-looking Superman and a bunch of fights with Doomsday. We,
But
we get a few different Supermans.
they do
I
reference Legion of Three Worlds, which is good. Thank you.
Well, it says the Legion of Infinite Worlds.
That's Legion of Three Worlds.
That is right. Yes.
Yeah. Because that's the I mean, they destroyed the Time Trapper at the end of that. Remember? Final Crisis, Time Trapper went kaput.
Right.
So it's like, okay, he would have that memory if he's Time Trapper. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. For anybody who missed out or forgot about the previous issue, Superman and Superwoman were taking on Doomsday. And at the end of the issue, Time Trapper reveals himself to be Doomsday in the future. Doomsday evolved. And here, Doomsday is explaining to Superman basically who he is, how he is, and that he needs Superman's help to die again. Because every time we basically get a quick and dirty origin of Doomsday and how he was created, why he was created, what happens every time he dies, why he's been able to come back. And he believes that he will be reborn into a true god the next time he dies. And Superman is just like, yeah, but I mean, you've got, as a time trapper, you can be anywhere, anytime. Like, why here now? And Doomsday is explaining that things are in a bit of a flux. But do not take me being kind and explaining myself as a sign of weakness, because I'll still fuck you up. And he does. He grabs Superman by the neck and just throws him down from stories above the earth down into the ground. And
how weird is it to hear Doomsday speak, though?
Just speak. And I mean,
he has in the past, but only in small doses. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's having full on many syllables in these words,
using punctuation and shit and
everything,
and like far more eloquent than your average teen texting.
Yes.
So,
100%.
And this is Doomsday. Like, what?
I
love it.
The issue is basically Superman and Superwoman taking care of Doomsday as best as they can. Although he's dealing with Doomsday, she's dealing with the Doom Hounds, and all while Metropolis is racing to be evacuated and bunkered down because of all the damage being done. Even we get a Lex Luthor appearance because he saves a young boy from a toppling building. You even hear Superman yell, "Lex, run!" And so while Doomsday's about to barrel down on him, while all this is going on, speaking of the Watchtower, Batman is watching everything, and he's letting Mercy know that the Justice League heavies are ready and can be on site at a moment's notice. But Mercy's kicking ass on her own, letting him know, listen, if we need you, we're definitely going to let you know. But she, for now, she is flying down on the back of Parasite, heading towards Doomsday with a bunch of other Supercorps armored soldiers in tow. And Parasite does a good attempt at siphoning Doomsday down a bit. And he does. He succeeds. Pays for it dearly, but he succeeds in weakening Doomsday enough where Superman can put him down and Supercorps can trank him. And basically, and this was great, is that they, in order to keep him subdued, he's being pumped full of Black Mercy venom. And if everybody who knows, for the man who has everything, and recent other stories, Black Mercy is a plant, is a flower that when the person is in possession of said flower, their desires, their dreams, they live them out in their mind, and so
Doomsday's tripping balls. He's tripping balls.
He really is. I mean, you see this bright red dark panel with the bright red eyes, and he's just so Mercy and the crew literally have a cleanup job ahead of them. Superwoman flies away with Superman. We get some nice little after hours moments with Clark and Lois. Lois wearing a nice low cut top, and then Superman playing nursemaid, all while having a little debrief after the events of the day. But as Superman is talking to Lois and is going over what Time Trapper had said to him, reminding him that Doomsday's return was a sign of more horrors to come, and to that, Clark has to ask, what's scarier than Doomsday? And the last page, we're at Calaton, where someone seems to be putting on a mask very reminiscent to that old Doomsday cowl, back when he was beating on walls. And I don't know what the next issue has in store, but this is a neat arc. I mean, aside from the fact that it looks great, even a rushed Dan Morris still looks good. Especially when he goes all red. Superman's red levels are rising, which is a fairly new phrase to me. But it's kind of when he sees red and just goes all off.
What was the arc back in the day when Superman hulked out? Like the powers were off the scale and he couldn't control it, and he got physically gigantic and the veins were popping up. What was that? It was like a 3-4 issue arc where he just went ballistic. Hair got long and shaggy. It was like Unhinged or
Yes. I can picture the Bogdanov cover.
Yeah. Nasty stuff.
Because even when Superwoman is yelling to Superman to, you don't have to stop beating on him. He's already dead. He has a very demonic word balloon that's all in red with white lettering that he's about to say, I'm okay. But it subsides. It's almost like the adrenaline wears off. But Metropolis is a little fucked up. They've got some cleanup to do. While the fight scenes were pretty intense towards the middle back half of the issue, there was quite a bit of talking at the start, but that was that was so Time Trapper can explain why he's here and what he needs Superman to do. I'm real curious to see how the rest of this arc is gonna play out.
You know what I'm gonna say. You gotta know. The Doomsday fight was too short.
It absolutely was.
I don't care if Parasite weakened him. In the time between from the last time Superman fought Doomsday till now, he's had, I don't know, however many opportunities to evolve, die, evolve, whatever. This should have taken far longer. It should have been at least a 3-issue fight. I'm greedy because there's no hiding the fact that I think Doomsday's the best Superman villain ever. Nobody even comes close, not even Lex Luthor or Brainiac. Doomsday is the quintessential Superman villain. That's just what I love, right? And I think even with Lois, it also raises the question, how powerful is Lois? If she can go toe-to-toe with Doomsday and not die, her husband couldn't do that way back when. So how strong is Lois? Like, that's crazy. And where did she get that power? I need to know, but whatever. Yeah, I think the battle was too quick. I would have liked to have seen at least another issue of
I don't think
Doomsday.
it's the last time we're going to see them fight.
No, I don't think so either.
Venom's going to wear off. Because if every time he dies, you basically can't kill him that way again. Once he kind of builds up an immunity to the Black Mercy Venom, they're not going to be able to really use it again, I don't think.
Or the Black Mercy Venom could be a catalyst that leads him to become the Time Trapper. Like, he could get some kind of understanding out of because what would Doomsday want? right? To stop being a fucking savage, maybe. To stop having to fight every day of its life and just destroy and kill. Maybe the Black Mercy does something that, flips a switch in Doomsday's brain and pushes him down the path of Time Trapper. Like, who knows? He's still probably going to be evil, or at least nasty, but not a roided out, unstoppable rage machine like he has been. I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is. I don't know how much they're paying Dan Mora.
It's not enough.
It's really not. I think like even this issue is not as intense more as the Justice League issue, but even this issue just makes everybody else pale in comparison. Like mainstream superheroes, Dan Mora's the guy. There's nobody better for mainstream superheroes.
I mean, he's drawing a book with countless characters.
Silly.
It's silly. I mean, he was doing that with World's Finest every time, somebody new would come into the group. But I mean, but now this is the Justice League Unlimited. And I mean, even here as people are running through Metropolis, he's drawing, everyday people on top of our heroes. He's drawing a kick-ass Mercy. I like this Mercy a lot.
Yeah, me too. But shades of Maria Hill, though. She does remind me. Yeah, she reminds me of Maria Hill a lot. Yeah. Maybe if they
a little different. And she's
her attitude's
is she
different.
Cyborg or does she have cybernetic implants?
I don't know. I'd like to test her implants.
Sure.
That was sorry, but because she has like, what do they call it? Super Squad, Super Force?
Yeah.
Supercore. She has Supercore branded stuff on all the time, like uniforms and stuff. So maybe I get the Maria Hill vibe from that. I mean, no, she's not
hair,
in attitude. No,
she's in charge.
Yeah. Yeah. She's attractive. Yep.
No, I mean, who isn't drawn by Mora, but yeah. I mean, hell, even Alexa's daughter here. I mean, it's a,
it's like, Dan, can you draw somebody like with like warts or something, or a hunchback? Just make somebody unattractive. Can't do it. Sorry,
for me.
Can't do it. He is a very, this is a guy that could do anything. Like he could do advertising, he could do fashion illustration. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything Dan Mora can't do. He's very accomplished. But the thing you didn't even mention this, and I thought you were going to lead with it. Superman loses an eye? What? Like what?
He even says it, yeah, because Doomsday says, I remember where we obviously I'm here early because you still have your right eye, which means Zod has not returned yet, and I wonder if that's related to the Joe Casey McDade Kneel Before Zod arc that just wrapped up, and if that's going to, because he is, Zod has said he's got shit to do, and he will be coming back to take care of his enemy's son. And so yeah, obviously we haven't seen the last of Zod. Pretty slick for Time Trapper to just kind of drop that nugget there. But yeah, eventually Superman is going to lose an eye.
I gotta know, how the hell does Superman lose an eye?
And Odin did. Thor did.
Yeah.
Maybe magic.
This is Superman, right?
And why didn't it grow back?
Why would
it does.
Why would it grow back? Superman, you know what I mean? Doesn't have a healing factor. He's just Superman. Right?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't grow back. But
I don't want any cybernetic eye bullshit. If Superman loses an eye, he better... That doesn't make sense. He's not going to lose an eye. Maybe something's going to happen where, events are eliminated or changed and Superman does... There's no way Superman can lose an eye. I'm not hearing it. It's not happening. No. That's silly talk. No. Make it go away. He'll still be handsome. Still be handsome.
I love these teases with these glimpses of the future, whether they actually happen or not. going way back when, I've always been a massive fan of these futuristic teases. Also because like I like to know if they actually do come to pass, then it's not like it's images of tomorrow or anything like that, but it's one of those things where it's just like, oh crap, this is what so and so referenced 8 years ago. It's like it's finally I mean, this could just and Williamson might not even be writing these stories in the future. He could just be leaving breadcrumbs for someone else to pick up and run with, which is really cool. It is cool. I think that because if these are just throwaway lines or something he actually jotted down that he wants to hand off to someone else, that's cool. But I mean, I just knowing that there are this is the world of comic books, and these are aliens, and it's all fantasy. But you have someone from the future who is leaving clues of what's to come for someone living in the present. And as a fan, as a reader, that's fun. But to see if it actually comes to pass as you continue to read, I get off on that. That just these are the things that make me happy to be a comic book fan.
It's true, but I have far more confidence when DC does it than I do when Marvel does it. I know it's going to come to fruition when DC drops a little nugget like that, but I guess I'm just gun shy from reading X-Men and Wolverine for so long, where they do like Wolverine, someone very close to you will die in the future. And you're just like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Who's not going to die close to Wolverine? You know what I mean? The possibility of that is like, they were just like planting seeds for the next writer. But at DC, I had far more confidence that that specific incident was carefully planned out and will happen in the future. Do you feel the same way?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Which is weird. And I gotta, I don't want to, I'm not going to be hyperbolic, but these books feel reminiscent of the Triangle era. I'm saying they wouldn't embarrass themselves if they were at a party with the Triangle era books and they're like, hey, we're current Superman Triangle era books. Like, yeah, you guys are pretty good. You're all right. But I don't think they're of the same level as the Triangle era books. But they're not half bad. If only we could get somebody else on action visuals, then I'd be happy.
Well,
I'm not a fan.
Whatever. I know you're not a fan of Clayton Henry. I get it. I'm not gonna feel.
He's a good mainstream artist. He's good. But I want this on all the books, all of it.
Well, there's only 4 more weeks. There's only another month of this Action Comics storyline. So we'll definitely get now whether or not
it's we'll 8 get a chapters so far, right?
Yeah, but it's a 12. Yeah, this past week was chapter 8. It's a 12-chapter story.
I don't want Clayton. If you're listening, I don't dislike your work. I think you're very capable. But how do you say
he is clean?
He's too clean. He's too clean.
A very clean artist. And I like his figure work. I like his facials. But I can absolutely understand why. I mean, if you look at Clayton and then you look at Mora, or then you even look at Jim Lee, it's like he's very restrained as to. Clayton knows exactly what lines he wants to put down. You're not going to get the Klaus Janson scratches. You're not going to get the Scott Williams scratches.
Is Klaus inking in the dark room again? Come on out into the light. You could do better in the light.
Please.
I have a solution.
To working in the dark, or
no, no, to the Action Comics.
What?
Dan Panosian. Dan is every bit as good as Mora, and they have the same first name.
It's true. If I felt like getting a commission, and I don't have anything from Dan, I would like to see his Superman.
Oh, can you imagine?
I would get a Superman commission from Dan.
There you go. Well, he's doing covers, right? But yeah, I think Dan is stylistically in pretty much the same, more or less, wheelhouse as Mora. Dan's a little more.
He can draw the handsome people. He can draw pretty women.
Yeah, he's a little more expressionistic than Mora. Like his line's a little grittier, but they're still in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah, there's more Jack Davis in Panosian than so
yeah,
definitely get
Yeah, I would throw money at Panosian, get him on action. He likes to write. Pay him to draw.
I would, and I wonder if they are going to, if they do keep the triangle, because obviously they're using it for legacy numbering, but they could, if they, I mean, even though it's just 2 Superman books, they could have them just kind of slightly tie into one another so that they could very easily change the triangle to reflect which reading order the issues are in.
So Action's been a weekly
for this particular storyline, yes, because the previous
and it's all Clayton Henry.
Because the previous arc was Gail Simone and Eddie Barrows and Eddie Miki, but so following this, so yes, this Action Comics storyline, Phantoms, is every week. The main story is Clayton Henry, except for there's 3 to 4 to 5 pages each week of a Superboy and Superman story that is illustrated by Michael Shelfer. So Clayton Henry is doing the bulk of the main Action Comics story. There's a museum heist story that's slid into for a scene change in the main story, and then there's a Supergirl backup that's written and drawn by a different creative team. So Clayton is drawing the bulk of the issue for these 12 issues.
I have an idea.
He's putting in the work, and he's been working on it for a while. I think he said he started it last year, so he's been working on it.
I have an idea. Let's make this an all DC episode. Because I see you have Absolute Wonder Woman on your list, and you can do that for your In Your Travels. And I could do the other thing that's on my list as an In Your Travels. And that's going to be fairly detailed.
Yeah, because I want to hear about it. Yep.
Why? Okay. And I think we should do an all DC episode and then bring it home.
Okay.
All right. Because when was the last time we had an all DC episode?
I have no idea.
You mentioned Gail Simone, and I don't want to derail the DC train, but I enjoy Gail's work.
Yep.
My lady is an extremely interesting and captivating writer. Somebody else must be writing Uncanny, because it's just not good.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything out of it.
I can't. I wanted to, but
it's like the X books are cursed. It's like Hickman did a quantum sigil spell on them that enabled that extracted the creativity and the spark from everything to follow him. He did it on the sly. Nobody was looking. Burned the whatever, did all the thing, and now it just seems the X teams can't do shit. There's nothing. I mean, even with Stegman on the visual, Stegman's good. Like, I like looking at his drawing, but that book is it's not fun to read. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. But anyway, so okay. Thank you. We have let me check the clock here. This is so professional, my people. Thank you for putting up with this. All right, we're at an hour, so I'm thinking mine's going to take a good chunk of time. So let's do this. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here with us this time around. Remember, if you want to save and save big on your trade paperbacks, your omnibus editions, OGNs, manga, art books, everything that has a lot of pages and a spine, go to cheapgraphicnovels.com because they have a ton, a Black Friday sale with more than 1,000 things, not even counting the pre-orders and the other stuff that are currently available that are just massively discounted. Go there. cheapgraphicnovels.com. Listen to what I said in the beginning on how to get extra savings on top of savings. Please, if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podcast Dildo or whatever it's called, leave, I just wanted to say that. Leave us a review. If you enjoyed it, we would love to have a review from you because algorithms drive the bus and we want to get to school. How about that? Thank you. And check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. $5. I'll make it simple. $5 gets you a bonus episode and behind the scenes shenanigans nobody else gets to hear. $10 gets you all that stuff plus exclusive access to the Slack where you can commune with like-minded individuals 24/7. You can download vintage fanzines and ridiculously out-of-print comics. Look at pages from vintage comics every single day. Covers, all that stuff. It's just fun. Patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. I had the absolute best time this past weekend reading The Power of Shazam.
Ooh.
Specifically, book 1, In the Beginning. Written by Jerry Ordway with art by Jerry and Peter Krause and Mike Manley and Kurt Swan. Color art by Jerry and Glenn Whitmore. Dap, you've never read any of this? I think I remember you talking about the Power of Shazam graphic novel at one point, didn't I?
No, yes, I did. And I believe that was the prequel to this ongoing.
And that's in here.
Right. Okay. So yes, that will spark a memory, but what follows it is mostly new to me.
Because you get the 96-page Power of Shazam graphic novel, plus you get 12 issues of the ongoing that followed. And the OGN is basically all set up for the series to follow. Like, it's very much in homage to the Otto Binder C.C. Beck series. And it should be. But there's a text piece with Ordway that goes into like what he was thinking when he did the OGN and the series. And he's like, yeah, it was the 90s and everything was gritty and grim and dark. And he's like, and here I am doing Captain Marvel. So what do I do? And it's amazing, and it's one of the reasons why I've never read this series until now, was because I have a very soft spot in my heart for Captain Marvel, specifically the C.C. Beck Captain Marvel. And that is why I'm extremely reluctant to try anything that's realistically rendered. I'm not going into that. What was it, Jeff Johns did the last series, the most recent series at DC, right? Yeah. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot. It's just not. I don't like to see, however in tune it is with them. Like the movies, forget it. You can do Clockwork Orange on me and pull back my eyelids. That's the only way I would watch those movies. I don't care if they're lighthearted, but I can't parse realistic Captain Marvel. It just doesn't work for me. Fawcett City was an entity unto itself. DC appropriated the Fawcett books. And when they did, they kept the aesthetic at DC. So Fawcett City was like shunted to the side in this little pocket universe. And yeah, there were crossovers. There was a Superman crossover, at least on a cover, and maybe a little bit of a story here and there. But for the most part, Captain Marvel and the Fawcett characters were entities unto themselves in a little bit of an area pushed to the side of the DC universe. And that's how I like them. Right? Mm-hmm. And Ordway takes great pains in this series to make sure that the reader knows that Fawcett City does not operate like every city in the DC universe. There's a reason why characters in Fawcett City don't age like everybody else in the DC universe. There's a reason why the visuals of Fawcett City don't like there's Art Deco everywhere.
They're timeless.
Yeah, there's a timelessness to Fawcett
It's like
City.
it's stuck in amber.
But there's a reason for that. And I'm
Right.
not going to tell you why. I won't spoil it. But there's a concerted effort by somebody to make sure that it stays that way. Yes. So the Power of Shazam graphic novel, it's not complex at all, but and again, the character of Shazam has the trademark Billy Batson lighthearted innocence, naivete is there, but there is a little bit of a darker edge to Ordway's take on it, which stands to reason. I mean, he had to play to the market. If he did a straight reimagining of Captain Marvel, I doubt it would have sold, right? That's just what everybody wanted. They wanted the Dark Knight Returns. They wanted the violent, gritty superheroes, such as it was in the 90s. But anyway, so Dr. Savannah sponsors this investigation into the temple of the pharaoh Ramses II with hopes that his team will discover something that he can exploit for the upcoming Fawcett City World's Fair. So who are these people that he sends over to Egypt to poke around in this temple? Well, they're archaeologists, but they are one Clarence Charles Batson. Get it? CC.
Yeah, I remember
Bats.
that.
Yeah. And his lovely wife Marilyn. In tow is the despicable rat bastard known as Theo Adam. We don't know it immediately, but Theo Adam is the reincarnation of Teth Adam, a.k.a. Black Adam. So these strange hieroglyphs are found, and these mystical energies target both CC and Adam, and a scarab necklace is discovered, and Adam wants it, and he goes ape shit, and he plays a part in the deaths of both of the Batsons. CC Batson is crushed to death when the temple collapses, and Adam stabs Marilyn. He follows Cece's like, Marilyn, you gotta leave. Go back to the hotel room. And so she does. And she takes part of the scarab with her. And Adam follows her and he stabs the shit out of her. He murders her and her daughter's attendant. Just to get the chunk of necklace that she broke off, which was hidden in the guts of a talkie Tawny doll.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he kidnaps Mary Batson for good measure. Problem being that the Batson's son, Billy, couldn't come. They didn't allow him to come because his grades weren't good enough. So he's back at Fawcett City. And then the story jumps ahead in time a little bit to spotlight young Billy Batson. He's doing what he can to survive out on the streets. He's selling newspapers and this mysterious stranger wearing a fedora and a trench coat. He leads Billy down to the subway where an old wizard bequeaths unto him his power, the power of Shazam. And you know how, it works out. It all ends well. Captain Marvel defeats Black Adam, and Shazam, the wizard, puts the kibosh on Black Adam's vocal cords so he can't, assume the position. And a fire in Savannah's penthouse puts him out on the street. So it's a nice little bookend that Billy's out on the streets, and now, the big bad Dr. Savannah is out on the streets. There's a Dave Stevens Rocketeer homage. Black Adam and Captain Marvel are fighting, and they smash through a wall, and it's that panel from the Rocketeer where Betty's back is facing you, and she's sitting Indian style on the platform while the photographer is monkeying, and Black Adam goes, "Hey, thanks for the view, sweetheart." It's like, okay. But the ongoing series leaps out of the 50s. So we're talking end of World War II, roughly at the is the scenario for the Power of Shazam graphic novel, but it jumps into the 90s, and everything pretty much looks the same. The Power of Shazam ongoing is absolutely amazing, and is one of the closest things you'll get to the Superman Triangle era without reading the Superman Triangle era.
I really like the covers.
Really Ordway goes nuts on the covers. The covers are absolutely... See, Ordway's just writing most of it. He does show up. He does pencil at certain points, but when Ordway shows up to pencil, you know it's a big deal. Because the art is done by Manley and Krause. But Ordway comes in to illustrate the origin of Shazam the Wizard. Dap, do you know who... one of this pair is the main villain in these 12 issues, but they have a sibling who is working behind the scenes. Do you know who the main villain of this 12-issue run is?
Is it Captain Nazi?
No, he does show up. The main villain is Blaze. Remember Blaze from the Triangle era? Blaze and Satanus, brother and sister?
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
Do you know who their father is?
Is it Savannah?
It's Shazam, the wizard. The wizard is their father.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's the only thing I'm going to spoil. I just wanted to see how you would take that. But there's an influx of Fawcett heroes into this story. So we not only get the origin and backstory of Shazam, we get the same for Teth Adam, Black Adam. These are all drawn by Ordway. We get the origin of Ibis the Invincible, who plays a big part in the last 4 issues of the 12 issues that are presented in this book. But it's crazy. You get Billy Batson. He struggles to maintain the ruse of his dual existence. He's a kid. No, he's not. He's in school. No, he's got to save the city. There's a man named Sinclair Batson who is not what he seems. And he's not a relative of Billy Batson, but he does, or he is a character a famous Captain Marvel character that will return to make Billy's life hell in the next 12 issues. Uncle Dudley shows up. I think he works at the school where Billy kind of sort of shows up, and Uncle Dudley takes Billy under his wings. He's like, "Hey, I'll help you out, kid." And he's like, "I know your secret, man." And Billy's like, "You know I'm Captain Marvel?" And Uncle Dudley's like, "No, I know you live on the streets, you little dummy, but thanks for telling me."
Damn kids.
Savannah has a daughter named Butia, and she just wants to get close to Captain Marvel. The arson fiend shows up. There's an undercover cop named Muscles McGinnis, who he's posing as a mob boss to get the jump on these ne'er-do-wells, but Captain Marvel helps him along the way. So he's like, "All right, we're gonna do this. Yeah, let's go in. Pretend to beat the shit out of me, and I'll rally and punch you, and you fall down and leave. Just so all my grunts will be like, whoa, did you see what happened?" And that's what happens. Freddie Freeman is in it.
Sure.
Freddie's crippled by Captain Nazi.
Okay.
Yes. He's a Nazi. And it is Shazam that fixes him. But before that, Freddie's like the high school football team star, and all the girls want him, and he's athletic, and he's all over the place. But I'm like, wait a minute, Freddie needs a crutch. Freddie's a cripple, or muscularly challenged, or whatever you say. But he eventually does get maimed by Shazam. But here's the deal with this series, and I think it's brilliant on Ordway's part. Captain Marvel has all of the powers of Shazam. When Mary enters the picture, Captain Marvel has 50% of the powers of Shazam.
Oh, shit.
And Mary has 50%. When Freddy enters the picture, they each have a 33 and a third percent of Captain Marvel. So Cap is fighting Captain Nazi, and he's like, Schweinhund, you were stronger before, and he's beating the shit out of him. That's because Mary was flying around, and she had to give the power back. She had to turn back to.
Okay, so
it's not.
I got you.
Yeah.
Clever AF. All right.
Yeah, no, it is. It really is. And reading it, I'm thinking, how is he going to introduce Talkie Tawny into the mix? He does. He finds a way to do it. I won't say, but the Tawny goes from a stuffed animal to a anthropomorphic tiger within the confines of Fawcett City. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, you get Captain Nazi, and who just shows up to remind everybody that Nazis are assholes and not to be trusted. And Captain Marvel doesn't have too much problem with him, but Captain Nazi has a niece who helps him out, and Madame Libertine, and she they're just in the book to remind everybody that Nazis are evil assholes. And when dealing with these characters, Jerry doesn't pull any punches. Like Captain Nazi's in the presence of the mayor of Fawcett City, and she's a black woman. And he goes, why would anyone put an inferior organism? Uh-huh. Yeah, he does not pull his punches. And it's not only one instance. Jerry does it in a, so props to Jerry, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But other Fawcett heroes enter the picture. You got Bullet Man comes into play. Like I said, Ebus the Invincible. This series is great, and I haven't read it only because of my fussiness with Captain Marvel. Like I admit it, I'm a little bit goofy and stupid when it comes to Captain Marvel. I got to have it a certain way.
Yeah.
No, and it's neat because Manley and Krause, they render Captain Marvel in a very clean way, which is not mirrored in everybody else. Like everybody else in Fawcett City is more realistic, but Captain Marvel has the lantern jaw and the thick ass eyebrows and the massive proportions, and he looks like he's not as cartoony as CC Beck's Captain Marvel, of course, but and he'll draw Mary they'll draw Mary very, very attractive, but they always remember that she's a young girl. She's not Power Girl. You know what I mean? She's a young girl in a skirt. So let's keep it tasteful. And I thought this series was great. And pisses me off. The Power of Shazam book 1 is a hardcover.
Oh no.
Yes, Power of Shazam book 2, which finishes the series, is a trade paperback. Why you want to do that?
For now.
I don't know.
Smarten up.
I don't know, maybe. But for now, it's a trade paperback. I don't see DC saying, hey, you know what? Let's lose even more money on this and publish it.
Well, let's do it for Vince.
Yeah, well, whatever.
How are Kurt Swan's pages?
I thought they were great.
Good.
Yeah, I thought they were really great.
I know you're not.
No, maybe I should go back and reevaluate Kurt Swan. But I have the book here. Let me see who inked him. I don't want to give you some dead air, but the Kurt Swan. Oh, they don't tell you. Wait a minute. It's towards the end.
So that wasn't Manley who inked him like everything else?
I don't remember. And it's so weird. Butia becomes Freddy's tutor. And it's like, can you imagine? Freddy's like, what? No, I'm not going to be able to concentrate. Because she's gorgeous, but she's, she's Savannah's daughter. So, You got to take that. Where are the Kurt Swan pages? Jerry's pages are absolutely astounding, but come on, it's Jerry Ordway.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I can't find them right now. They're towards the back. I should have marked down.
No, it's fine.
And it's what's weird. They call the 7 deadly sins the 7 deadly enemies of man.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Captain Nazi's okay, but can't do 7 deadly sins. You were a fan of Kurt Schaffenberger's version of it then, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that was basically just a carbon copy of Beck's stuff anyway.
This is true. Yep.
I did like...
Minuteman's in it.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Minuteman's in it. There's a lot more heroes than you would think, aside from Spy Smashers in it. Aside from just like the Marvel family and Shazam and villains.
I need to... Okay, so next time we go bin diving, I need to find any World's Finest Dollar comics, because there are issues with a Captain Marvel serial, and it's penciled by Don Newton.
Get out of town.
And it looks
why has that not been
amazing?
Has that been collected?
I don't think anything from those World's Finest days have been collected. All of those short page serials, I don't think any of them have ever been collected, unless they're in like one of those random 80th anniversary collections that are just filled with short stories. I don't think anything from the Dollar days have been collected. But yeah, Captain Nazi's in that as well. Those issues are kind of what actually made me. I've never been a massive Captain Marvel fan. Partly because I've already got Superman. I know. Part of it is because I really like it when they draw the tunic with the button, like the Star Trek movies, where kind of like the button in the shoulder. I like that tunic as opposed to just a full on one piece top.
It is manly. Sorry, it's manly. That ain't
okay.
Yeah,
that would be neat then. I'd like to see that.
Very good. Very good. He does the Ibis origin. Yep.
But yeah, there's the DC Comics Presents 2-parter where Superman and Captain Marvel switch bodies. There's so I mean I've read Captain Marvel Shazam stories here and there over the years, of course, and then he was a member of the Justice League, and but yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily the look. I don't know if it's because he's a kid. The cape, that never really bothered me. The little bib. I like the character. Well, I think I like the idea of Captain Marvel. I may not love all the baggage that comes with the character.
Right.
But
right. I mean, if I had my druthers, he would exist. The whole cast would exist in Fawcett City, which never crossed over to the DC universe. That's where Captain Marvel works best to me. But I mean, Blaze is in this, and Satanas, and there's a connection.
Yeah. The with the siphoning, the divvying up the powers.
Mm-hmm.
Was that also was that also from did Marvel Man / Miracle Man also borrow that, or is that
Jesus? I don't even remember. No, I don't think so. No, because then the Carnage would have been halved if in those infamous issues where Kid Miracle Man went fucking.
But Kid Miracle Man was already he was powered, whereas at first Mike wasn't. So he did have all the power. Maybe that's when he finally started to lose, is because they were more even when Mike finally turned.
I don't remember. I don't remember actually.
But I mean, I'm not far enough into the omnibus to find out if that's ever if that's ever gone into
I don't
detail,
think
but
so. I don't think so, but who knows?
probably not. But I love that. I love that Ordway came up with that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat because
That is
then
neat.
because Captain Marvel's super powerful, like
Yes.
Superman level power.
The power of the
And-
gods. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would get boring if he was just swatting enemies here and there. But yeah, because you need Mary, you need got to give Jerry credit. Mary is 100 times more intelligent than Billy. Mary's the one that solves the problems.
yeah.
Mary's the one that gets stuff done.
Totally should be.
She's a planner, and Billy's just like, okay, like that's how it should be. And Billy's like, Mary has a crush on Freddie. It's fun. Yeah, I would recommend this book to anyone, especially a Superman fan. It's very reminiscent of what you've read and the kind of semi-lighthearted but intricate plot structure of the Superman books. It's great. Power of Shazam. Scoop it. It's wonderful.
I would never classify Ordway as. I'm going to use this word because people use it incorrectly all the time. So I would never consider Ordway underrated, but I definitely would say he's underappreciated.
If I were forced to pick right now, top 3 Superman artists, Ordway would be in there without question.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't even know who the other 2 would be. I want to say Jurgens and Byrne, but that leaves out a whole lot of people.
Yeah, I would put Byrne ahead of Jurgens.
Only because of what he did.
Yeah. And it's because of what he did is that we get the great version.
That's like putting Adam in front of God, right? Adam came later. It wouldn't have been possible without God. So Byrne made all this possible.
So Byrne should just get the honorable mention anyway, and then we can leave 2 more spaces. Maybe Bogdanova's up there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we had some really great artists later on. We had Ringo, we had McGinnis, we had it just
all those guys are
cut their teeth on the character at some point.
All those guys are good. There's something.
But Ordway is just
he's
a
about
mix
Jerry.
Of that.
Yeah,
it was the modern and the classic. He reminded me of Wayne Boring in all the good ways. Ordway draws very attractive characters, men or women.
Yeah.
His Clark is fantastic with the round spectacles and the slick back hair, like he's an actual reporter from the 40s. It's just
his Lois is awesome.
Lois is amazing.
I totally agree, and I may agree with you on Ordway's skill, but I don't want to say, and I see why you're reluctant to say underrated, because who doesn't know Jerry Ordway? Who knows mainstream comics, right? If you don't, you haven't been reading comics that long.
But people say underrated because they're just they use that word instead of saying not mentioned often enough.
Yeah,
and that's one thing. That's fine. You could say an artist is underrated, but that's only because like they have a body of work that just nobody recalls or nobody puts up there with the greats. But there's a difference between just underrated and just somebody who just isn't. Underrated is somebody like 5 years ago, or not even 5 years ago, a couple years ago, Hayden Sherman could be underrated. Like we know he's going to come up and he's going to be a big. But I mean,
I think underrated applied to Hayden Sherman makes sense, but I don't think underrated applied to Jerry Ordway, a guy that's been doing it for decades and decades. That doesn't make sense to me. I think overlooked, underappreciated.
That's it. Yes, exactly, underappreciated.
Yeah. I would put Ordway up there with anybody.
Yep.
Maybe not better, but toe to toe with the greats. Hell yeah. Ordway's like boss level, big time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. Power of Shazam. What do you got?
Speaking of Hayden Sherman, This is the second issue of Absolute Wonder Woman, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Jordi Belair. Picking up right where we left off with the previous issue with Diana taking on these massive creatures that emerge from the ocean, and she is able to keep them at bay. She uses her lasso, Nemesis, because it's a red lasso. It's forged in the fires of hell. It's made from the remains of the last basilisk, and it's infused with the blood of Prometheus. So she uses it on this harbinger of doom, and makes a deal with it that Diana will release the creature under the condition that it leaves this land and does not return. Pass on this message to whoever monster summoned you, and just be gone. And the harbinger accepts, and all the creatures scurry back off into the water. And emerging from the smoke of the wreckage is a blonde uniformed officer, and Diana's. It's a great panel. These two panels look great side by side. You see Diana, and she still has some of the red around her eyes from when she conjured when she forced the creature back, and she's got the stern look on her face. And you see someone emerging from the smoke, and he says Diana. And then the next panel is you see the figure, and Diana's eyes are all wide, and a look of just like shock or surprise. And as she turns around, and she sees that it's a man she knows as Steve. So you get a flashback when Steve Trevor, washed ashore on the Wild Isle, the home of Diana and Cersei. And she stumbles across him on the shore while she and she uses a spell so she can understand him. And a tentacle, while she's asking him, he's passing out, but she's asking him a bunch of questions, and before he can even try to answer, he's snatched and brought down underwater by a hydra. And Diana rescues him, brings him home, yells to mom to bring the Cerberus fur because it's the warmest. Make a pot of tea, and she Cersei's trying to find out, like, so he washed up, and Diana's like, well, I'm not sure, and we're wet because the Hydra tried to take him, and Cersei's like, then you just can't fight the Hydra so casually, and she's like, I didn't fight it, I just took back what didn't belong to it, and Cersei's just like, well, if the Hydra, let's hope the Hydra doesn't hold a grudge. So Steve recovers, finds out that he's in hell, is trying to figure out if he's dead, and Diana and Cersei are just like, well, not exactly, but you've been through a lot, probably. She has no idea how he ended up here. She's just like, yeah, just rest up though. But she does seem to be sweet on Steve, and at one point, after he recovers a bit, they have a meal. He asks Diana if she could give him a tour of the area
of her
and
pants.
He'd like to investigate. Yeah, but he'd like to investigate where he washed up. And she's like, "Oh, of course." And Jordy does the most subtle blush on Diana's cheeks. It's amazing. She just looks up at Steve, who looks like this. He almost looks like Steve Rogers before he got injected with the serum. It's just he's
that skinny.
He's not super frail, but his body, he's not jacked. He's not packing 24-inch pythons. He just seems like he's a slight man.
Who is?
And as they're walking, he seems a bit more barrel chested, but his face is also what I like about what Hayden's doing with this book compared to what he does Into the Unbeing or Above Snakes. This is he he draws Diana especially, but Steve to a degree. He draws the characters' faces as if he was drawing them back in the late 30s, early 40s. It is a very golden age kind of. It reminds me of like Judah Robbins or just that era. It's a very golden age style to their features, and I'm not mad at it, even with everything else going on with the book.
Aesthetically, I know they're not in the same wheelhouse, but the panel layout reminds me of what J.H. Williams did on Batwoman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of panels where I'm just like, that seems weird to put that there because of where the next panel is. But yeah, it's unique. While they're walking around, he tells her, he's like, "Oh, you're very tall," and she's like, "We're of similar height," and he's like, "Well, yeah, but I realize I'm very tall, but in my world, there are almost no women as tall as you." And she's like, "Well, does this matter?" And he's like, "So he's like, no, it doesn't matter at all." She's like, "Well, let's talk about something else." It's just like, basically, she's like, "Just
don't matter in the bedroom, sweetie."
Right? We're all going to line up the same way.
Does not matter.
So they're chatting, and then we cut back to the present day where they embrace. She's happy to see him. He's happy to see her, and here comes Pegasus. And actually, we'll get more about Pegasus later. But Steve and Diana head back to the command center, and some small little general is in her face talking about how you're endangering a massive number of lives with this insanity, and you went out and took care of this on your own without military assistance, and for all we know, you're in league with this damn creature. And she's just like, I understand, your position. I am an outsider and an element you cannot control, and that infuriates you, but this is not my problem, my man. And she's just like, she breaks down exactly what her problem is as far as taking care of the monsters. And after she does this little speech to him, he turns around. She's like, "You dare to?" And she just shakes off with a hand. She's like, "Yes, I do." And
I could snap you in half, my dude.
Seriously, he's all like, so she's like, one of the soldiers is like, but you sent it home, right? And she's like, "I did, but that was just a harbinger." He's like, "What, like a messenger of things to come?" She's like, "Yes, exactly. Thanks, Webster, for telling me what a fucking harbinger is." So you've got the general still all pissed off because he's butthurt because a woman is in charge of this, and so he's going to take out his anger on Steve Trevor, and then and the panel is great because she's towering over this little man, and he's got to look up to speak to her, and we just see the top of his head as he's looking up. Diana and Steve go outside, and actually she says, "I'll be outside feeding my horse," and one of the soldiers whispers, "What does a dead horse eat?" And she hears it. She overhears it. She's like, "Magic." And she walks out. Steve follows her, and she's talking to Pegasus. And he's like, "Well, you can understand your horse?" She says, "Yeah, I can communicate with all animals, Steve." And he's like, "Can I pet him?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can, because he likes you." So Steve's like, "What's his name?" She says, "Pegasus." He says, "No, I know he's a Pegasus, but what's his name?" "Pegasus." He says, "You named... So your Pegasus is named Pegasus?" She says, "Steve, my winged horse is the great mythological winged horse Pegasus, born of Medusa's blood, slain by Zeus." So he's like, "Oh, that's why he's Bones?" He's like, "Well, he's far more than just..." The way she kind of like, not mocks, but mimics his speech patterns, it's sweet. It's very cute. So Pegasus is startled because he hears an approach of the. He knows something's about to come out of the water. So there's a sound that is basically deafening everyone in the area. And she says there's this massive looking kaiju is coming out of the water.
It's the mist.
And yeah, it is. And Steve asks what the hell this is, and she says death personified. And she tells the general, "You evacuate the city. I'll buy you as much time as I can." He's like, "Wait, you said city? You said we only had to evacuate a mile." She's like, "I was wrong, because God has protect us all." the Tetracide leaves nothing behind, and that's the end of this issue. It was, after the first issue, which really got us all hyped and amped up for what Kelly and Hayden can do with this. I enjoyed this issue because we got Steve Trevor, we get some more with Cersei, as far as what's going on back home by way of Steve's origin, and Diana dealing with the world of man and not and absolutely taking no shit from them. Fantastic issue. It's still I'm not going to do the thing where I'm not going to say if I preferred this issue over the second issue of Absolute Batman. They're two totally different things. She does imply when the general is getting all pissed at her. She says, where was it? That this world is not prepared for what's coming. And that basically there are other heroes out there. So I don't know if that's to imply that there's an absolute connection, and that these heroes will eventually all team up. But we don't. I don't get the impression that Wonder Woman that this book is on its own. Not that I ever really should have, but it was the first time I read anything. Granted, it's only the second issue of the second series that was introduced. I shouldn't be surprised, but I think I was a little surprised to have it implied so early in the series. Nonetheless, solid second issue. I liked it a lot. I'm anxiously awaiting the third issue to find out how the hell she's going to get out of this predicament. Definitely pick it up. We've talked about all three of the first issues. We talked about Absolute Batman #2 recently. I really liked the second issue of Absolute Wonder Woman. So in your travels, from Thompson, Sherman, and Belair, Absolute Wonder Woman #2.
There you go. Good stuff. All DC episodes. So weird. So weird.
Super weird.
Yeah, it is. Jason be like, what? You did an all DC episode without me? It's like, yeah, we did.
Without me?
We did.
The DC kid?
Yes. Direct
well, this
currents.
is good because you had something on your list that I started today that I'll get further into.
What, the Freak Brothers?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
If you have time, plug into the Tubi show.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you for being here with us. We love you so much. We hope you come back next time. In the meantime, say goodnight. My arm's not long enough to reach the laptop. So we're just going to have to wing it. David.
Good night. Oh, God. David.
There you go. Get yourself to a comic shop. Buy some stuff. Read them. Talk about them. Make friends. And then come back here. Because we'll be talking about the same thing probably next time around. With sandwiches. Tell them.
Sandwiches?
Yeah. Tell them you love them.
Love you.
See? He means it. Not like Jason, who just goes through the motion of pill talk bullshit. That means it.
That's it for that one.